Senior Resident Department of Gender Surgery, Sree Balaji Medical College. I'm a skilled laparoscopic assistant and member of ASI. Today we are going to deal with thyroid gland. Thyroid is a endocrine gland which is a ductless gland which is situated in the anterior aspect of the neck, which originates from the endodermal thickening in floor of the primitive pharynx. It descends through the thyroglossal duct. Finally, it just comes to the anterior aspect of the neck, just in front of the trachea. The common anomalies encountered are lingual thyroid, thyroglossal duct remnant, and later fistula formation also. Normally, anatomically, thyroid has a right and left lobe with isthmus connecting both the lobe. Approximately 15 to 20 grams weight is there. There is a true capsule and a false capsule for thyroid gland. The false capsule is made by pre-tracheal fascia. The main relation, significant relation, medially there is trachea and recurrent laryngeal nerve. Laterally there is carotid sheath with vessels. Then the predominant blood supply for thyroid is superior and inferior thyroid arteries. Superior thyroid artery is the first branch of external carotid artery. Venous plexus or venous drainage is by superior, inferior and middle thyroid vein, and the nervous supply is by sympathetic trunk. Predominantly, main physiological function of thyroid gland is to produce T3, T4 and calcitonin hormones. So these hormones are essential for regulation of the basal metabolic rate, growth and development, thermoregulation, CNS functions. So basic bodily functions are associated with normal thyroid state. So how it functions, there is a thyroid releasing hormone which is released, which go and stimulate the anterior pituitary to release the thyroid stimulating hormone. This thyroid stimulating hormone will go down and stimulate the thyroid gland, leading to formation of T3 and T4. There is a negative feedback mechanism leading to stopping of the synthesis of thyroid hormone. So now we will discuss about the pathology of the thyroid gland. Imagine there is excess amount of thyroid T3 and T4 in the bloodstream. So imagine all the basal metabolic rate is increased, anxiety is increased, all the predominant bodily function will be elevated. So it can be commonly seen in toxic multinodular goiter, Graves' disease, toxic adenomas. Predominant symptoms, as I told earlier, patient will have heat intolerance, tremors will be there, weight loss despite of good appetite, and there will be significant amount of tachycardia. There will be ocular symptoms. Predominant in Graves, the eye signs are predominant, like lid retraction, lid lag. Then hyperreflexic state can be there. All the symptoms can be there in hyperthyroidism. So predominantly what you need to give is anti-thyroid drugs. Commonly used are carbimazole and propylthiouracil. Beta blockers like propranolol are also used in to decrease the symptomatic effect. Radioiodine therapy also used to bring the thyroid to the euthyroid state. So if we discussed about the hyperthyroidism, now let's think about the hypothyroidism. Hypothyroidism means the thyroid hormone is less, but there is increased amount of TSH. It can be seen in Hashimoto thyroiditis, post-thyroidectomy state, or iodine deficiency in certain hilly region or where endemic region where iodine is deficient in diet can develop autoimmune and or endemic thyroid diseases. So in those patients, predominantly there will be cold intolerance, weight gain will be there, constipation, bradycardia, dry skin, delayed angle reflex is one key clinical feature. When you examine on checking the angle reflex, the angle reflex will be bit delayed. So that can be there in hypothyroidism, which is decreased. So the basal metabolic rate, bodily function, everything will be kind of decreased. So predominantly what would be the treatment? There is decreased amount of hormone. So you have to replace the hormone by giving levothyroxine tablets, predominantly depending on the body weight of the patient and metabolic requirement of the patient. Thyroxine supplementation are given. Then whenever a patient comes to you with clinically, whenever the patient is coming, first thing you will do, collect the preliminary data, take the history. When the history is conducting, you will start asking about the chief complaints in detail, in history of presenting illness. Once the chief complaints are specifically about the thyroid, then you can go for the, if there are any hypo symptoms, hyper symptoms or pressure symptoms in the history, and do the thorough examination based on which you will have a clinical diagnosis. Investigation, what you commonly can you do is you can broadly classify it into invasive and non-invasive. Non-invasive investigation should be done first, that is ultrasound of neck, and you can do FNSC is an invasive investigation which is done later, but thyroid function test or thyroid profile is necessary so that you can know whether the patient is in a euthyroid or hypo or hypothyroid state. So in ultrasound, key features such as microcalcification, hypoechoic lesion, irregular margin, taller than wider lesions. These are of high risk of malignancy. You know that normal tissue can go into benign growth, which is benign, which can be a benign pathology, and also more aggressive malignant form also it can get converted. So you have to be suspicious of thyroid malignancies also. So FNS is also there, can be done in certain tissue. If the patient is in euthyroid state, you can do a fine needle aspiration cytology, in which you see the Bethesda classification. So broadly, thyroid malignancy, there are predominantly papillary carcinoma of thyroid, follicular carcinoma of thyroid, medullary carcinoma of thyroid, anaplastic carcinoma of thyroid, and follicular and lymphomas. Lymphomas of thyroid are also very common. And there are like mixed variants, papillary variant of follicular, follicular variant of medullary carcinoma. So there is mixed variants also are histologically seen. So whenever you are suspecting thyroid malignancy, by the history, sudden increase in size of the swelling, there is increased pressure symptoms have increased, shorter duration, clinically there is a hard fixed swelling in front of the neck, anterior aspect of the neck, berry sign positive, all this features suggestive of a suspicious malignancy. So diagnosis will be, initially you will do an ultrasound and thyroid profile, and FNSC you will do. Remember that in FNSC you will not be able to differentiate follicular carcinoma from follicular adenoma. The key feature of follicular carcinoma is capsular invasion, which can only be diagnosed in tissue diagnosis, not in FNSC. FNSC will not be able to pick up the capsular invasion properly. So for which, in order to confirm follicular carcinoma, you have to do tissue sampling itself. So thyroglobulin in papillary and medullary group will be elevated. Calcitonin also will be elevated in medullary group carcinoma. So malignancy is suspected, there are various treatment plan is there, or in benign condition also commonly done surgical procedure is thyroidectomy. There used to be hemithyroidectomy, segmental, certain amount of near total thyroidectomy, total thyroidectomy. So over the period of time, thyroid surgeries have been modified step by step, but standard textbooks deals with near total thyroidectomy and total thyroidectomy. So in basically it can be done in benign and malignant thyroid disease also. Here is an image of a total thyroidectomy. You can see there is a the thyroid tissue which is removed. There is a long thread over the right side, and the superior part is having a short thread, and left is marked. So that is a, you can see that right lobe of the thyroid is enlarged in the image. So few benign pathologies where you can do thyroidectomy is toxic multinodular goiter, solitary toxic nodules, large goiter causing compression, recurrent cyst, Graves' disease, which is resistant which is refractory to medication. Where there is a failure of medication in Graves, you can attempt the total thyroidectomy. Malignant condition where surgery is preferred again is papillary carcinoma of thyroid, follicular, medullary. Anaplastic, again you cannot attempt total thyroidectomy because it is a very aggressive tumor. It would have infiltrated to the deeper core. So certain amount of tissue is resecting is will come with bit of difficulty. So we do an isthemectomy or certain debulking surgeries in anaplastic carcinoma of thyroid. Tracheostomy is mandatory to maintain the airway in anaplastic carcinoma of thyroid. Some contraindication for thyroid surgeries are uncontrolled hyperthyroidism, severe comorbidities. If patient is unstable, it's not fit for surgery, then you cannot attempt the surgery. Then invasive carcinoma involving greater vessels. Once the malignancy has invaded the carotid, then we cannot we cannot attempt surgery in such patients. While during surgery, Here you can see the image is showing the left recurrent laryngeal nerve and right recurrent laryngeal nerve. You can see the image. You can see the nerve as a thin white glistening structure, both the side bilaterally you can see that. So predominantly in thyroidectomy, structures you need to be very careful is recurrent laryngeal nerve, external branch of superior laryngeal nerve, parathyroid gland, blood supply should be preserved, and superior and inferior thyroid arteries should be carefully dissected. Berry's ligament, there is a proximity. It gives a landmark for most of the structures, so it has to be carefully dissected. So these structures should be kept in mind during thyroid surgery. Intraoperatively also you can develop certain amount of complication. Post-operatively, early and late also you can have certain complication in surgery. So most common intra-operative complications are bleeding, recurrent laryngeal nerve injury, hypoparathyroidism because of the accidental removal of the parathyroid gland, or devascularization because of the damaging of the blood vessels to the parathyroid. Then tracheal injury can happen. Esophageal injury also can happen in case of extremely adherent thyroid tissue. Early post-operative complication can be hematoma formation, and hematoma can lead to compression of the airway. That can be an emergency. Then hypocalcemia can be there. There can be a tingling sensation. There can be carpopedal spasm. Recurrent laryngeal nerve palsy can be there, which can be present with hoarseness of voice. Wound infection can be there. Seroma formation can be there in this patient. So these are a few early complications. Late complication will be permanent hypocalcemia, permanent recurrent laryngeal nerve palsy, hypothyroidism, or keloid or scar formation, recurrence in remnants of thyroid tissue. Sometimes we might have removed the thyroid tissue. Certain amount of tissue would have been left inside, not because of the mistake of the surgeon. Some tissue would have been somewhere hiding behind, or ectopic thyroid tissue also can be there. So in this condition, there can be recurrence from those ectopic tissue or atypical tissue. So that can be also late complication. Post-operatively, you need to care for the patient by monitoring. The airway has to be monitored, voice has to be checked, and 6 to 24 hour post-operative serum calcium has to be noted. Start on thyroxine for if the patient has been subjected to total thyroidectomy. Calcium and vitamin D supplements is needed. Follow up for ultrasound and TSH level routinely. Any operative procedure, you follow up the patient properly, so you will see the progress of the procedure. So that is in brief about thyroid gland and surgical procedure, thyroidectomy, and in general. I hope the session was fruitful. Thank you.